XDC's next big move is brewing right now, but I do really want to talk about why I believe XDC is going to make a lot of people rich, not just this cycle, but in the long term. Because XDC, believe it or not, is probably one of the most overlooked, undervalued, and underappreciated projects that this space has to offer, and the retail sector doesn't even know it yet. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. XDC has been a project that I have been following for a very long time. If you guys are a watcher of the channel, then you already know that. And the thing that gets me about XDC is the fact that people don't appreciate just how big the trade finance space is and how much money is also on the line when it comes to tokenizing trade finance. And XDC has always been marketed around the trade finance scene as basically becoming that bridge for it, bridging the technological gap that trade finance essentially needs filled. So as we do really think about that, right now, XDC does have a fully diluted value of almost $5 billion. And to a lot of people, that might seem like a lot of money, but let's just be honest here. Trump coin just ran to like over $70 billion in fully diluted value. So this thing does have a lot more upside potential left in it this cycle, in my opinion. But on top of that, the long term here is the fact that we are targeting trillions of dollars. And if we're thinking about that, then the upside potential on XDC is much higher than, 70 billion in terms of market cap. We have yet to realize where this space is headed. When we're talking about hundreds of trillions of dollars being tokenized, these projects could be worth trillions, multiple trillions of dollars in value, and that's just scratching the surface. Well, let's talk about a few things. Let's actually address a few things around XDC. Number one is the fact that XDC has been moving up the list. Recently, it was trading at about 15 cents. Right now, we are currently, and if we actually go over here and look at the list, because we were moving up to like the 50 spot, right now we are sitting at number 63 in terms of the top 100. Again, the upside potential here is very significant for XDC because right now we're at $2 billion. If we doubled in value to 26 cents, for an example, new all-time high, by the way, we would have roughly almost a $4 billion market cap. That would put us on the map to almost number 36 on this list. So as we do think about that, right, XDC's upside potential is not limited at all because if it does also double from there to almost 50 plus cents, then we would be looking at almost an $8 billion market cap. And even then, it's in the top 25. I do think that XDC deserves to be in the top 25 at least. We'll definitely have to wait and see what happens here, but I am expecting XDC to hit about roughly $1 this cycle, and it could definitely go much higher than that, but that's my conservative outlook for XDC. But let's also talk about a few big moves being made right now until we actually do really get into the juiciness of trade finance and what it could mean for XDC's long-term future ahead. Number one, Pillar X. So Pillar X is a new ecosystem, and this is going to have a lot of dApps accessible within just a single app. And we're thrilled to announce the integration of XDC network into the Pillar X ecosystem. If you guys have been watching my recent XDC videos, the number one thing that I have been mentioning around why XDC is going to explode in value this cycle is all of the big integrations that are happening around XDC. We have witnessed XDC become a massive ecosystem, through a lot of these integrations that have been happening over the last couple months. One of the biggest ones that we recently saw was the accelerator programs, right? A lot of those accelerator programs grow the ecosystem rapidly, brings in a lot more developers, and ultimately allows for more dApps to launch on XDC. I am expecting a lot of those big moves to happen this year as well. But if we actually look at this, right, we could see the full breakdown of this integration. Number one, why? Well, they chose XDC because of the enterprise-grade technology, the consensus model, and also the low-cost transactions. This perfectly aligned with, Pillar X's mission. And if we go down here, we have what's next. Currently, Pillar X is at the testing stage, and only approved testers can explore the platform and experiment with its functionality. To become a tester, join the waitlist here. The Pillar X team is working hard to ensure a seamless integration of the XDC network. As soon as it's live, this addition will open new doors for users to leverage the power of XDC alongside the innovative account abstraction features of Pillar X. So again, very exciting stuff, and I do think that this is going to be very bullish for XDC. Right now, if we look at the Pillar X website, this is what we're met with under dApps, for an example. You can see some of the technology stats here, or I should say breakdowns behind Pillar X. I do think that this is going to be very beneficial for XDC. I think that this is definitely a great integration, and this is just one of many that we have recently watched happen with XDC. Now, next up, I do want to address trade finance because it is the elephant in the room around XDC. Big shout out to Tokenizer for this post because this actually kind of broke down all of the connections that XDC does have. We have the pinnacle of trade finance on XDC. A full industry-grade DLT ecosystem perfectly fit for the future of global trade by unification with TradeFinix, digitalization with Anigio, standardization with Impul, tokenization with TradeTech, regulation with ADGM, and then globalization with SBI. What XDC is building is far from your traditional layer ones in the crypto space, and it's clearly visible in every part. From their architecture inspired by the likes of Ethereum, Hyperledger, and Quorum, to the unique business purpose utility in the dApps within the greater XDC ecosystem. One could argue that crypto is less than a fraction of what XDC is looking to target. From government authorities, large corporations, international trade organizations, and more, the XDC ecosystem is primed for success in the trade finance space, and there is little competition to go up against their capabilities. While there are countless layer ones building other solutions for blockchain and supply chain, no one has successfully captured the world of global trade leaders like XDC has. And if we actually look at this list here, so let me open this up in a new tab. We have digital trade in China, which this is China Systems has added core trade tools on XDC such as TradeFinix and Anigio. Then we have the UK Parliament with regulatory recognition. This is around MLETR in terms of the digital trade era. Then we have Securrency, aka the DTCC, right? Regulated DeFi. Securrency was recently acquired by DTCC, which by the way, they move $3 quadrillion worth of securities per year, and is an XDC partner for compliant DeFi services. Then, of course, we do have R3's Corda. This is their settlement services. XDC token can be bridged to R3's Corda through DASL as a value settlement option. Then we have SBI, Japan expansion. SBI Holdings has partnered with XDC and TradeFinix to accelerate trade on XDC within Japan. Then, of course, Overledger integrated. XDC's network is supported in the Overledger ecosystem, which if you guys know, you know. Paperless trading with ICC. And also the United Nations. So the International Chamber of Commerce and the United Nations back XDC network as an MLETR compliant trade solution. Then we have Singapore goes digital. XDC network is working with Singapore's IMDA for MLETR compliant trade platform. Then we have trade leadership. XDC's Andre Kasserman had spent 20 plus years with Swift in their global trade departments. Then we also have the middle section because I want to go around, and then get into the middle because this is where a lot of those big moves are being made. So we have number one, DASL, regulated bridging. DASL is built or has built a bridge for XDC to bridge to R3's Corda as a settlement vehicle. Then we have Comtech Gold, gold-backed tokens. We already know about, tokenized gold. It's becoming a big deal. Then we have paperless trading with Anigio. Anigio's dApp on XDC that digitizes legacy trade docs to immutable NFTs and PDFs. Then we have real-world assets with TradeTech. TradeTech tokenizes real-world financial and trade instruments for further global market accessibility. And then ITFA. So the ITFA is a big one that I actually focus on quite a bit. XDC Network is actually the only public blockchain that's a member of the ITFA. And then we have borderless finance with Voi Finance. That's another great integration, by the way. This is bringing financial solutions to SMEs, banks, and governments through compliant DeFi pools. Then Impul with the ISO 20022 bridging. This is a cross-border payment player as well around XDC that's becoming a big deal. And then, of course, we do have the ADGM regulatory sandbox, which XDC Network has gone through the Abu Dhabi Global Markets RegLab test sandbox as well. And yeah, these are just some of the big moves that are being made around XDC that a lot of people are just not paying attention to. And by the way, talking about Andre Kasserman, let's go back to January of 2024. That's right. We're going all the way back over a year ago. This got posted by Crypto Air, and we have understanding trade finance with Andre Kasserman. Trade equals real goods, coffee, sugar, vehicles, opportunity, infamous trade finance gap of 2.5 trillion plus, solution XDC network, blockchain tech, transparency, standardization, packaging invoices with tokenized product to fund the gap. Check this out.
How is trade finance as an asset class developing? Is there anything happening?
The demand for trade finance is growing, also a good fact, but the negative in this is that especially the smaller businesses, which constitute the majority of businesses actually around the globe, still have a very hard time finding the finance they need. And everyone has of course heard about the infamous trade finance gap. That at some point was quoted by the Asian Development Bank at, I think, 1.5 trillion US dollars per annum. We're now at 2.5 trillion and growing. So there is still a lot to be done, but I think the overall message is this is a growing asset class. There's a lot of demand. The question is just how can we fill this?
Mark, how do you see this asset class developing on your side?
So it's important to actually understand what the asset class is, and it's important to look that it's the real economy. So it's real goods, it's coffee, it's sugar, it's vehicles, it's toys, it's actual products and services being traded, typically cross-border. And as Niels rightly said, that gap is growing. There's larger demand, and the points is why. And the reason it is because if we look back and we understand from a macro perspective, with inflation, with the number of from regulatory burdens and changes that are going on, it's meant that there's an increased demand for capital in the space. It means that there is a big funding gap. So alternative lenders are stepping in, and we're seeing more and more come into the market to basically fund into that gap, fund SMEs all the way through to large corporates, and provide greater capacity at smarter but also faster.
Yeah, okay. So Niels, on your side, we hear many promising developments, but how can we scale this market to really legitimize this trade asset class?
Well, what do these funders need in order to really fill this gap? They need two things chiefly. One is transparency and one is standardization. So transparency is important because you really need to understand what's happening in your portfolio. To give you a very concrete example of a portfolio that we're seeing on our platform, that's 400,000 invoices to be funded on day one. Yeah, there's no way that you can deal with this on a spreadsheet. You need technology to help you, and there's already the answer to this question. You have to bring in technology to create this transparency. The other issue is the standardization. As a non-specialized funder, as a non-bank funder, I cannot go out and buy 400,000 individual invoices. I need a way to package this, to transform these invoices into an investable product. And again, that's something where technology can help. That's something actually that we at Trade Tech do. We provide both these aspects, the standardization and the transparency that you need to really understand what's going on in your portfolio.
So yeah, I mean, listen, as we really look at trade finance, this is one of those industries that is so ripe for disruption, and it is being disrupted by blockchain technology. This is the next big asset class, in my opinion, in terms of, blockchain, because it is affecting these major industries like trade finance that are so ripe for disruption that they've been screaming for innovation because they're still running on paper-based processes, yet we haven't had any significant innovation happen to these industries because of the cost to actually innovate. But blockchain is providing that innovation, and it's very cheap to actually innovate with blockchain, and it unlocks a ton of additional opportunities as well. So as we do think about this, yeah, XDC is standing at the forefront of this to actually solve these problems, these inefficiencies. And by the way, just remember that Standard Chartered actually said that tokenization, the whole market, is set to reach 30.1 trillion by 2034, and trade finance will be significant. And when we actually look at this, right, they're talking about trade finance making up 16% of that 30.1 trillion at about 4.8 trillion. And the so-called trade finance gap, that is $2.5 trillion, representing slightly more than 10% of the global merchandise trade of 24 trillion in 2023. However, the bank observes that only 80% of the export market is currently financed, so there could be an additional 10% undisclosed trade finance gap In that case, the gap is closer to 5 trillion and growing, given global trade is forecasted to reach 32.6 trillion by 2030. So when we think about the opportunity here, it's much larger than that 2.5 trillion. And this is only growing year over year over year. So the need to have that innovation to digitize trade finance as a whole, it is so significant, which means let's go back to my original view on XDC. This is a project that if it does, make trade finance efficient, if it does innovate the entire industry of trade finance, the market cap for XDC could quickly grow to, multiple hundreds of billions to even multiples of trillions of dollars in market cap, which means a lot of XDC holders, and I know that there's a lot of you out there watching these videos, could become very rich in the coming years. And I do think that even this cycle, a lot of you will also be very wealthy. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.